How's it hanging? Where am I? I'm down there. Why am I down? Get up there. How's it hanging, YouTube? Peter here, your Ginger Jody Geek. Welcome back to the channel. A little bit stressed tonight. So, we decided to go early because I was picking my wife up from the train station at 9 o'clock. That all changed. I was picking her up at 6:30 now. So, we're just literally getting in. My camera's all screwed up and I'm pasty. I don't know what the hell's going on. But never mind. Never mind. We'll get through it. As ever, I'm joined by some of YouTube's finest and Luke. How are you, Luke? Are you well?
I'm always looking pasty.
That's very true. That is very true. Are you well, bud?
I am well. I mean, a little bit hurt by that comment of yours just then, but I'll let it slide. Yeah.
And speaking of Luke, please, if you do anything tonight, as soon as this video is finished, go check out his latest video on bone music because it is educational. So please do go check that out. As ever, I'm joined by my best pal from across the sea. Ooh, that doesn't work. It could be either of you, couldn't it? Across the seas.
Don't hurt my heart.
My favorite American. So, Efren, Passpoint Comics, how are you, sir?
What is going on, Comic Book Familia? I was telling the guys right before we started the show, please don't start at 11 o'clock anymore. My time, I'm rushing. I'm all frazzled here. And Luke said, what's up with my background? I think he said that, and my name was all messed up, so I'm rushing. But I'm here. I haven't seen you guys like in about 2 weeks. And let you know, I don't like it. But
I'm sorry.
You guys more often. I like talking to you guys on a weekly basis. 2 weeks was too long for me, just saying.
Yeah. You've been pining for it, Efren. Have you just been waiting to see working?
Yeah, I go, who am I going to try to hug first?
Me. It's always me. And we are joined by my bestest pal from across the seas, nearer to home than America, James. How are you, sir?
Heyo, what's up?
You indeed. Not bad. You well?
I'm very well. I had a day off today, so I got to just catch up on a lot of the shows and movies that I've been missing. So that was quite nice.
Yeah. So I had so with Alona being away, I've blitzed The Acolyte, The Boys, and a couple of movies. So I've been in a TV mood.
I watched the first episode of both of those, so I had to squeeze that in. Plus, we're doing an I'll Be Right Back later, and I had to squeeze that movie in and do the research for it. So. It's been hectic.
The research.
We have trivia, man, and
he goes on Wikipedia and copies and pastes.
I also go on IMDb, Peter. Okay, give me some more credit.
I do apologize.
Thank you. Yes.
But listen, guys, this is our first new style show. This is our pop culture catch up. It's basically Saturday Night Live, but don't tell anyone. So basically, this is going to be a new monthly show where we'll look back at some film reviews, some TV reviews, and a little bit of stuff that's been happening in the nerdy news. So we've got some interesting topics tonight. Before we do that, just quickly say hello to, we've got Fuzzy Boy. Fuzzy Boy? Don't know what I did there. Don't know if that's a bit weird, Fuzzy. We've got Fuzzy. How are you, Fuzzy? All aboard. Nice to see you, bud. We've got Terry, the dead man. Always nice to see you. Make the change before my bedtime. I'm disappointed in that, Terry. I do like to think of you tucked up in bed, all warm and snug, watching with.
Or in the bath.
TV. Or in the bath. Yeah, that's where I do more.
I like all our viewers to be in the bath.
Yeah. All at the same time.
Yeah.
We've got Fuzzy saying, Jesus, tough life being a tuber. You've no idea the pressure, Fuzzy, involved with this. It's
you have to watch movies and then fucking talk about them like it's.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. We've got Tragedy Tales. Nice to see you as well, bud. And we've got GP Venom. Haven't seen you for a while, Pete. I hope you are fit and well. Always nice to see you. Okay, guys. So, look, dead man. Haven't got a bath. Have a wet room. You animal. That sounds filthy. So we've got all kinds of stuff to get through. Instead of doing it in sections, guys, like we used to do, because that started to feel a bit stale, I've literally just chucked everything and mixed it up. So We're going to jump from news bits to movie reviews to comic reviews to whatever you want. And
I expect this finely curated now, Peter.
Finely curated.
The
I mean, I've no doubt, James, having worked with you for a while now, I have no doubt you'll find something to pick criticism of and saying, that's not right. What's going on with my camera? I look all pixelated.
It's not very nice. I said nothing about the camera. That's not a very nice thing to say.
I know,
Peter.
I'm just noticing. It's weird, isn't it?
Maybe it's just your face.
Okay, let's talk about Fuzzy saying Terry's wet room. That's normal.
Burn.
Oof. Okay, I wanted to touch on this to start with, and I'm interested in your thoughts. We saw the Venom trailer earlier last week, I think it was. I'm interested in opinions on the Venom trailer, but then also within that trailer, we get this gentleman sat in the back of a van. Now, there's no confirmation that this is the Lizard, Kirk Connors. It's just the actor at the moment. I don't think, unless I'm wrong, I don't think they've come out and said, yes, the Lizard, this is a representation of the Lizard.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, I didn't think I'd seen. So, first off, we'll start with you, Luke, because I know you're a big fan. What did you think of the Venom trailer? And then what do you think of this potential of it being the Lizard?
So the Venom films, I've concluded, just aren't for me. I really did enjoy the first one. It was kind of like a guilty pleasure, kind of like a throwback to the early 2000s. And then from the moment the second one came about, the whole idea of him just sounding like the Cookie Monster and being ridiculous, it just doesn't do anything for me. Now, granted, in this trailer, I thought the idea of a venomized horse was pretty cool, but that's not enough to make me want to see this film. You know, even the fact that this might even be the Lizard, one of my all-time favorite Marvel characters, not enough to make me go see this film. You mentioned about the actor being in it, but maybe not being that character. I mean, isn't Mordo in this as well from the MCU? Yeah. And he's quite clearly not Mordo, right? He's going to be someone else. So who knows at the end of the day? I mean, I think Sony are just doing whatever they want at the moment and throwing everything out.
The question to you then, Luke, is do you want this to be the Lizard?
I'm kind of indifferent because I'm not going to rush to watch it either way. So if it is, okay, cool. It'll be interesting to see if they do a different transformation, like do a different Lizard look, because I know that throughout the comics we've had multiple different looks, and I would love to see this actor reprise that role, but I've always preferred a long snout on the Lizard and the lab coat and everything else. So, you know, it depends what they do with it. You know, I could be convinced to check out the film just for that. But again, that whole... Even in the beginning of this trailer, when they were trying to say, we are Venom, and they're just like going backwards and forwards, to me, that was not funny. That was not... That was lame. It just didn't work.
So, I mean, it's a dark day, Luke, when I agree with you, but I am finding myself agreeing with you on that. I mean, I've never been a big fan of the Venom movies. That element is what turns me off. You know, the head chatting to him and stuff. It's not from.
I loved Venom as a kid. I watched all the animated shows in like the '94 cartoon, and I read all the comic books. And you know, we've had some really good Venom runs in comic books, but these films just don't do it for me.
Yeah. How about you, Efren? Thoughts?
I didn't even know that actor was in the. I seen the preview of it last week. You know, with the horse looked pretty cool. Yeah. But I'm kind of in agreement with Luke and you, Peter. I mean, I watched them because they're Marvel movies, so to speak, and I'm interested. But this one, I'm gonna wait till it hits home. You know, I can watch it from my house. Okay. You know, I just don't think Sony for some reason, they just don't have a grasp of what to do, except for their animated movies, you know, the Miles Morales ones, you know, but I just don't think it's going to be a hit. And it's piqued my curiosity, but just a little bit because it's a Marvel character, but I don't think they've done him justice at all.
And that's an interesting comment from you, Efren, because you're like us, you're a big comic fan, and I know you enjoy seeing these films on the big screen. So it's interesting that Sony's kind of moving away in some regards from actually putting my hand in my pocket and going to the big screen to see some of the films.
It's like, you know, it's a Sony movie like Craven. I don't think it's going to be a good movie. I mean, I'm sure we'll talk about it down the road, but it's been delayed for such a long time. And, you know, I just don't think they're just missing something. But so is Marvel nowadays, too. The regular Marvel Universe movies, too.
Not as bad, though.
Not as bad.
Madam Web was like... one of the worst movies ever made, I think, genuinely.
I would love to see what they're not allowed to do, because obviously they have their hands tied by this deal with Disney for Spider-Man. So I would love to see the reasonings why we're getting these things or these films this way, because like you say, when they have Spider-Man, they actually make good films. You know, I still love the Tobey Maguire films, the
Yeah.
Andrew Garfield films. I love the Miles Morales films.
That's true.
When they have Spider-Man, it all seems to work. So I wonder how their hands are bound and tied to stop this. I wonder why this is happening.
Do you guys know the answer? Is Venom in the Spider-Man universe, the Marvel universe, or is it separate?
Well, they left.
I don't know.
Yeah, we don't
Not
know. And
decided.
at the end of the last film, they purposefully kind of left a bit of the symbiote in the MCU, didn't they?
Yeah.
So you saw a bit separate, didn't he?
Yeah.
But they've done nothing with it since, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
James, I'm interested in your take on this. Fuzzy's
Yeah.
saying, I've heard the little boy is Peter Parker. There's so many rumours so far, having all 6 symbiotes could be a car crash on screen. That's my biggest problem. I don't think it's Peter Parker, I have to say. I think that would be, well, it would be interesting if it was. But now, each film is just another colour symbiote. Do you know what I mean? It feels done to death. What do you think?
Yeah. You know, the Venom movies have just been the villain is the same, just another color, and like that's just such an overdone trope. I think the trailer, like as far as Sony movie trailers go, was fairly well put together. The Rhys Ifans thing, he might just be a separate character. There's no rumors of this being a multiverse thing, and I don't think Sony's subtle enough to hide that for this long. Like they're the types to really just put everything in the trailers, you know, to get people in. I am getting flashbacks to like the Morbius trailer where there was the picture of Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the background, and then that wasn't even in the movie, so Rhys Ifans might not end up even being in the movie, or the Michael Keaton scenes that weren't in the movie and they just changed it to something that didn't make sense. I am curious though, because like you have a scene in the trailer of Chiwetel Ejiofor's character collecting the symbiote from the bar. Now that bar was in the MCU.
Yeah.
So is he a multiversal? Maybe he's like a Mordo variant or something like that. But I just don't see them going that way. I think that would be cool, and I'd be more interested in the movie if that was the case. But I feel like they would have told us that. They would have revealed that by now.
I completely agree with you, and I agree with Luke when we're saying that, you know, I forget the actor's name, sorry, the guy who played the bad guy in Doctor Strange. He's an MCU established character, but he's a bit removed from the Sony universe. They're literally putting a well-known Spider-Man actor in another Spider-Man film. That feels too on the nose for me. Do you know what I mean? It's like that's.
I mean, if this is going to be a gateway for them saying that this is the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man universe, and that's where Venom has always been, then I'm okay with that.
Yeah,
Because
that's a
whatever
possibility,
happens,
isn't it?
you know, if this is going to be the end of this story, and you know, say for example the symbiote dies, or maybe even Eddie dies, you know, the other character can then go on to meet Spider-Man. Maybe they do bring Andrew Garfield back and carry on in a different series of films.
Or
We
don't see where he goes after he gets transported out in No Way Home at the end, post-credit scene. So maybe he's been transported to the Andrew Garfield universe, and that's how they put them together. And that's why Rhys Ifans is in it. That's a possibility too, I think.
Anyway, interesting. You've been spotted drinking vodka, mate. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. I will see this in the cinema because I am a sucker. You know,
Yep.
I'll go and see any superhero movie, but I can't say I'm excited for it. I am a bit excited for this. So this is a exhibition that's coming to the UK, Batman Unmasked, where you get to see all the props used in the movies. There's some special items for sale, apparently. You get to look around a version of the Batcave and things like that. It's coming to London at the back end of the year, and it's coming to Manchester in July. So I've managed to get a ticket for this. This is only about 45 minutes long. I was quite taken back when I looked at that and thought, crikey, it's literally 45 minutes wander around, I guess, and slightly concerned that they say that there's professional photographs available. So I hope they're not going to limit you taking your camera and whatnot and having a little look-see.
No, that's like photo ops with like the
Yeah, with
Batmobile
the
or something like that, I
Batmobile
would
stuff,
think.
yeah.
Like they can get printed there.
Luke, you're London-based. Is this something that you fancy going to see when it's down in London?
So I've been to a few of these sort of like exhibition things like this, and they are just very short. So as long as you're okay with that, as long as you're okay with doing the travel, putting the time in, and going there to see these items and not expecting much else,
Yeah.
then they're okay. Do you know what I mean? So I never I always, if I'm gonna go to one of these things, I always book it as a kind of add-on to something
Yeah.
else. You know, so if you're gonna see Friends, great, do that. Or if you're gonna go somewhere else afterwards or before, do that as well. Because it just is, it's very short. You know, if you enjoy that particular thing, you go, you do it, you're done.
And that's exactly what we're doing. My missus has got some friends down there, so she's been deposited there, and I'm going to pop to this. But yeah, looks interesting. So watch out on the channel. I'll no doubt be doing a bit of a video about this in the next few months. I'm going start of July, I want to see, so that looks quite interesting. Mr. Keegan. Now, I've been to see this. This is the latest Bad Boys movie. Luke, Efren, you guys fans of the Bad Boys franchise?
Never seen one of them.
You've never lived, Efren.
No.
You've never seen a Bad Boys movie. Honestly. Luke, how about you?
Yeah, I love Bad Boys. My only
I mean, that's
gripe
getting
with
clipped. That's getting clipped. That sounds wrong.
I love Bad Boys. Who doesn't? The It's just, my only gripe with it is that obviously this is the fourth film and they didn't name it what they named the
Bad Boys for
third one.
life. Yeah.
Like,
It
but then
will
again, they,
forever irk me that they didn't do that.
they didn't know if this was going to happen or not. I will say though, I'm so happy that we got Will Smith back on the screen. You know, I feel like he's paid his penance. Do you know what I mean? I want to get him back out there and see him in movies again because I do like him as an actor.
So I'm going to hold my tongue, which is hard for us, as you know, about my views on this movie. Mr. Keegan, I know you've been to see this.
I have.
Tell me what you thought of Bad Boys number 4.
Bad Boys Ride or Die. I thought it was great. I had an absolute blast during this. Just really, I think they're like in the vein of a Fast and Furious now, popcorny fun. But they're just, the action is like spectacular. There's a really amazing helicopter crash sequence in this, where they're fighting and like the helicopter swivels and they like smack up into the ceiling and stuff, and just really impressive stunt work. The final action sequence is so much fun. The script is really sharp, and like these two guys back and forth like on screen is really special. I think like it's just incredibly funny. Yeah, and there's just like a lot of kind of fan servicey moments. There's some fun cameos and stuff in it. Yeah, I just had a smile on my face kind of for the whole movie. Like, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. I loved the last one and put this on par with that, I think. Yeah.
So I went into this thinking this was going to be okay, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. I smiled all the way through it. I think it lives and dies really on the chemistry between Martin Lawrence and Will Smith. They are perfect together. The banter between them, it's just it's genuinely funny. So I really enjoyed this, and I think, you know, without giving spoilers, there's a kind of a character who was in the last movie,
the last two movies,
who
has an action sequence.
He's sequencing this, which is just
awesome.
amazing.
That was my favorite, probably my favorite scene in the movie. I was like gushing the entire time, so that was great.
It took us
a
while to realise that Mr. Fantastic was in it as well. I didn't recognize
Ian Grufford,
his
is a supporting character in it. Yeah. There was another point I wanted to make. It's gone now. It'll come back to me in a sec, maybe.
Fair enough. But yeah, very cool, worth watching if you get the opportunity. Do I think you need to see it in the cinema? I think there are some good action sequences and things like that, but you could probably watch this at home, I guess.
Yeah. There's a prison fight that I loved as well. I thought that was awesome, and the character involved with that, he's in the last movie as well. I want that character to get his own movie. Like, I love that actor. I want to see that actor in more stuff because he's an incredible like presence on screen, I think.
Fuzzy saying the first is a classic, one of the best action films of the 90s. Yeah, Fuzzy, completely agree. Efren, you need to at least watch the first one and just see what you think, because they are genuinely good fun.
I'm sure they are, but some movies I just,
yeah,
for some reason or another, I just don't watch, but I'll check it out,
I feel like a lot of the time with action comedies, they prioritize the comedy and the action sort of the afterthought, whereas this is like, no, we're trying to impress you with these action sequences, and that's the thing that makes this stand up, I think.
Yeah. Luke, were you going to say something?
I was just going to say, whenever I go back to rewatch the original Bad Boys, I always have to watch at least the second one. Yeah. You know, you can't just watch one and then not the other, particularly those first two, I think.
Yeah, very cool. So recommend that one. That's a good one to see. Wanted to mention some comics I've been reading recently. So Geiger, you guys reading Geiger? Anybody read this?
Yeah, I have. I read the first volume too. It's a good. I really enjoy this character.
So I've just picked up the first volume, Efren, so I haven't read that one yet. So this is a relaunch, started a couple of months back. This is Geiger issue number 3 by Jeff Jones over at Image Comics. It's just good fun. James, I think this is the one that you would particularly like because it feels a little bit Mad Max to me.
Right,
So
I have
in
the
kind
first
of-
issue from a while, like the
Yeah.
first volume or whatever. So I never got into it.
So I've not read the preceding volumes, so I couldn't tell you how this guy's got his nuclear powers and things like that. But basically, he's wandering around a desolate kind of post-apocalyptic Earth with mutants and all kinds of stuff running around, and he's got this ability to basically turn, as you see there on the cover, glowing green man. What I'm particularly enjoying, but I don't know if Efren, if you've read this particular issue, but it's the humanity in it. It's really quite touching.
Yeah.
So I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. So recommend that one. You guys been reading anything at the moment that you want to mention?
I haven't read anything for a really long time. It's been a number of weeks. I really do need to like pull my finger out and actually get to it because like I'm not doing anything at the moment. I haven't caught up with any of the new shows or anything.
Yeah, you need to get your finger out, Luke, and watch some TV.
think-
There's some good stuff.
I think the last thing that I read was Beneath the Trees, to be honest. I don't think I've read anything else since
right
then.
now.
I've had loads come in, just haven't had the time to sit down and read it.
Yeah. Hi, Jack. Hope you're well, bud. What about you and you guys? Anybody read anything?
Not read a thing in the last like 2 or 3 weeks. Like, yeah, it's terrible. I have to catch up on some stuff.
This is a comic book YouTube video, right? I just want to make sure I'm on the right channel.
You're
Yeah,
on the
I
right
believe it says pop culture catch up, not comic book catch up, Efren. So I'll get a pass this time.
I have been reading Blood Hunt by Marvel. I really have enjoyed it. You know, the first issue really caught me by surprise. I went, wow, okay, that's a twist. So I'm waiting to see what happens to that certain character, why he so far turned evil, so to speak. I've been reading Ghost Rider. There's a new Ghost Rider in town, and he's a villain.
I'm really enjoying that, Efren.
Yeah, me
loving that
too.
Ghost Rider run.
You know, so yeah, I wish, you know, we always, me and Peter specifically, we always talk about how Marvel, you know, sometimes has gone downhill a little bit, you know, but recently, to me, in the last couple of months, you know, I've been really have really been enjoying their comic books a lot more than the last few years.
You mentioned the Blood Hunt book there. Just for you guys, if you've not read that yet, this is the Marvel crossover event where basically vampires have been unleashed on the Marvel universe. It's really good. The what you call it? The core series, not necessarily all the add-ins, but the core series is very cool. But I wanted to mention, Efren, when I was doing research for Wednesday's show, you remember with Blood Hunt, there's a red band version of the comic.
I was about to say that I haven't read them.
Yeah, so you get 2 issue ones.
Yeah.
One's your standard, one's the red band, and when you read in the red band, it's more graphic. So for an example, I'll not say the name in case you're going to read it, but at the end of standard Blood Hunt number 1, one of the main characters in the MCU is killed, and I can't remember what happens. He's stabbed or something happens to him.
Yeah.
In the red band version, he's literally ripped in half and his insides are spread out and everything like that.
Okay.
So it's really quite graphic. But what I was wanting to say, Efren, is I've noticed that there's a new Wolverine miniseries coming out in August, and that's got exactly the same. You can get the standard and the red band.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if this is going to be a new thing that Marvel do.
I would love that because it's all in a way you're making child-friendly comic books again,
Yeah.
as well as still keeping the adult and you're both reading the same story, so you can still enjoy it together. Like for me, that's perfect for like a father and son thing.
Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
that's superb.
Yeah,
Don't,
that's a good
don't get
idea.
us- don't
No,
get
not
us
that
wrong.
specific one.
Yeah, I
I'm
was going to
sure.
say it's still a little
I,
bit
like
graphic,
moving
Yeah.
forward, if that was something that they were going to do.
Absolutely. And I'm wondering if that's why they're trialing it, to be honest.
Mm.
There is a price difference, man. The red band, I think, is $1 extra. So
Okay.
there is a slight price difference. But it's a pretty cool idea.
Different covers.
No, it's the same cover,
cover.
but it's got like a red
like a little-
banner
okay.
over it. And it tells you it's a red band. Fuzzy is just saying here, Geiger's awesome. When you read the first trade, you'll appreciate it even more. Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting stuck into that, Fuzzy. It's gonna be cool, I think. Whole universe is excellent. So yeah, I'm loving it, Dead Man. It's very cool. Blood Hunt should be the Blade movie. I've put the word into fire. I think you're absolutely right, Fuzzy. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but it absolutely should be a big screen event. This because it's not often I get involved and get to enjoy these big multi-book crossover kind of malarkeys, but this one's feeling different. I'm enjoying it. Could start up a certain show again so you guys can read more. Yeah, absolutely. I'm enjoying comic reviews. Fuzzy, I believe they're also doing Red Band for other titles. Yeah, Fuzzy, absolutely right, bud. Absolutely right. And Ed got a load of Image First coming in through the other day. In a world of $6 books of Dross, $1 books of classic Image comics to read is amazing. Absolutely, Ed. I think sometimes, well, I certainly sometimes don't appreciate how expensive comics are until you get to the bloody counter and you realise you've picked 5 books up and you're paying 30-40 quid. It's not a cheap hobby anymore. With all the trouble the Blade movie's in currently, I'd be surprised if we ever see it released. And because you're saying it's not happening, I'm going to touch on that later on, guys, because you're absolutely right. It's dodgy time. Right, guys, we're going to do something a little bit topical and potentially controversial. So, I wanted to talk about this gentleman, Francesco Mattina. You guys familiar with his artwork?
Yes.
Yeah.
Stunning work. I have to say, some of my favourite covers out there are by this chap. I just love his style and his use of colours. Now, this guy's got a little bit of controversy about him. I don't know if you're aware of it, but over the last couple of years in particular, there's been a lot of stuff in the comic book kind of press and things of artists saying this guy's literally swiping our work, he's tracing the work. So the image of Nova there is from one artist, the image of Flash is his artwork, the Punisher and the Batman are very similar. There's lots and lots of examples of this. The interesting one with the Punisher and the Batman is when you actually superimpose them on top of each other, it literally is a tracing down to where the gun's positioned and the whole really interesting stuff. So this guy's already got a bit of a reputation. He's still getting work, still gets a lot of work with DC, but today it's really kicked off because he's done a variant cover for a Superman book, and a fellow artist has called him out on it, saying that it's AI generated imagery. And the reason they're saying that is, you know, if you look at some of the issues with Lois Lane's earring and things like that, it's all very odd. But look at the S symbol, the most famous symbol probably is in comic books. And it's got an additional little kind of thing
Curve at the end. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Now, I have to say this is alleged, so this hasn't been confirmed or anything yet. But yeah, it's kicked off big style with people challenging DC and saying, hang on a minute, this guy's a little bit naughty anyway, but are we really allowing AI artwork into your top covers? What do you think of that? What do you well, first of all, let's not get necessarily into the individual, but what do you think about AI artwork as being not announced as AI artwork, presented as an artist's general work?
I mean, it's effectively plagiarism, isn't it? Like it's you've copied a thing. It's not yours. So if you're being paid by a company to do a cover, that should all be 100%. I know there's like things like homages and facsimiles and stuff like that, but I think if you're hired as an artist, that should be all of your work, you know?
Yeah, I agree. And I mean, I think it's, I mean, you know, as well, slap on the wrists for DC in some regards. How do you not take notice of possibly one of the biggest, other than perhaps the bat symbol, one of the most recognizable symbols of all time, not being picked up on your cover? I mean, this is
Well, you'd wonder if you were using AI, hypothetically, that you wouldn't scan that thing like every inch of it to make sure there was no like mistake like that, you know?
Yeah. Luke, what do you think?
I agree with what you guys are saying. Like, I think it's wrong, you know, both morally and just in general as far as business practice goes. The guy is obviously getting a lot of money for doing something that some young kid could probably just knock out on his computer.
Yeah.
I think I just everything to do with the AI stuff. Like, so much of what we see now just isn't genuine at all. You know, you can even scrolling through Instagram and nothing is real. I'm not enjoying this new world that we're entering into.
It's you know, I mean, and it's interesting. So before we really got in depth with the whole AI making comics and things like that, I remember sitting, and it sounds really petty, but I remember sat at the cinema, because that's literally where I am if I'm not at work, and there was an advert on for the new Google phone or whatever it may be, and it was proudly showing you images of people jumping to put a basketball in a hoop, and them going, oh, and moving it so the guy was jumping 10 times higher.
Yeah,
or
I've seen
deleting
this.
the thing he was standing on. I turned to Alon and said, how do you trust anything you see anymore then? If it's that good, how do you know what you're actually looking at is in any way real?
And you know the ramifications that are going to come through with, like, you know, video evidence, like if a celebrity is caught on video
deep
beating
fakes.
up his girlfriend, like, you just say that's fake, you know, that didn't happen. And I think we are also just at the genesis of this now. Like, in 10 years time, like that's the thing that's going to affect the world the most over the next, like, 10 years. Like, you think 15 years ago social media wasn't a thing, and now everybody's on it, everybody's on their phones. Like, AI is that next.
Well, this is the thing as well, like, because even if some countries choose to ban it, other countries won't. And it's just, you know, it's so similar to like the whole oil thing of like, oh, we can do all this to stop global warming, but other places won't stop, and therefore it's going to continue.
But the other thing as well, Luke, and Efren, I'm interested in your thoughts as well, but the other thing is, I don't know, and it might be just that I'm not switched on enough, I don't know if I present that to DC Comics and say, there you go, there's a bit of artwork, is there some bit of technology or some way that they can scan this and say, oh no,
Now,
this is AI?
there was I remember 3 or 4 months ago, there was like a controversy over, I think it was like a Spawn cover competition, wasn't it?
It was a McFarlane competition, and this is kind of my point, James, because that was a draw Spawn cover, and you know, you could be published, and an artist that I particularly like, Aaron Bartlett, who did that phenomenal Last Ronin cover, submitted a bit of artwork, and the rules clearly said no AI imagery. And then the person that won, Aaron didn't win, the person that won, there was a whole host of people saying, hang on a minute, this is most definitely AI generated. But Todd McFarlane has selected this as the winning entry.
I mean,
And they couldn't prove it.
Well, no, I remember people holding up things of like percentages where I'm pretty sure there is a technology that can scan it and tell you, like, with a degree of variability that it probably is AI, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, my thought process is, surely there's a paper trail to every piece of art. Like, surely there's always the initial sketch, the outlines, this, that, and the other, going all the way through until the final colorization and inking and everything else. So surely if people are going to be employed to do this, these companies want to see that process. They want to see the entire thing, because AI won't be able to do that, surely. Or maybe it will.
You would take. I don't think if you're submitting an AI thing, you've just literally typed the words in, took the picture, downloaded it, and sent it. You have that image and you draw over that, so that you have a initial sketch, and you have another thing you've just traced over this thing, you know.
So you're right. Well, you're both right. But Luke, that's one of the things that's come in some of the chatter today about this, saying comic companies are going to have to basically say, show us your homework, show us your workings out. You know, show us the steps that led up to this. But again, you're absolutely right, James, and it kind of feeds into what Fuzzy's saying here. People can draw something and then put it through an AI generator to touch it up, which makes it even harder to prove. Efren, any thoughts on this one, mate?
Fuzzy's comment right there, that was going to be my point. I wonder if Francisco Matina had done that and touched it up afterwards, you know, but why would he leave something so glaring like that? You know, wouldn't he have noticed it to begin with? Obviously I'm older than you guys, and I just don't really think AI should have anything to do with comic books. I mean, I think it stunts the creative process of people who draw that for a living. You know, they touch it up. I'm not gonna lie, I've used AI on ChatGPT sometimes too. When I think of topics, I punch it in, I see what it comes out with, and I add my own flavor to it. I don't do it often. I've done it maybe once or twice. Usually it just comes from my head. I just start writing stuff out.
Sorry, Efren, you're cancelled.
You cancelled it, you're right. I used so there's an AI function on Canva, and I used that a little while ago just to see what it punches out, and I have to say it's cack. It is punching out rubbish.
Yeah,
but it's interesting. And again, you know, just a little tidbit story. In my line of work, there's a lot of paperwork and reports being produced and things like that. and a member of not my team but a team that I support produced a very large document, and when you actually read through the document, it made no sense at certain points. And she said, "Oh yeah, I did it on ChatGPT.
I just
produced it." So,
I just find it really sad that we've broken the internet. Like, the internet was meant to be like the information superhighway where everyone had knowledge accessible to them and everything else. And we've just filled it with crap. We filled it with complete and utter nonsense. And now nothing can be trusted. No video, no sound, no written text. It's all just, it's broken, and it will never be fixed again. We've lost it.
Well, I think
James on the bottom.
every major development has its negative parts. Like, there are going to be elements like in 20 years, I think we'll all look back and say, how did we ever live without this thing? You know, in the way we do with phones now. And it'll make like filmmaking. Certainly, I think CGI will probably get a boost. Like, it'll be quicker to produce. Video games, I think it's going to revolutionize how quickly you can make video games nowadays. You won't need 300 people, and that's you know, there's a moral implication to that as well. You know,
I think, unfortunately, 20 years from now, is it's going to be so common. It won't even be a topic anymore. It'll just be, oh, it's AI. Okay. You know. So.
And then Skynet launches and we're screwed.
Yeah.
do you know what? Do you know what I think? I saw a couple of ads. I think because I watched one, I just kept getting them. But like, there's the AI girlfriend thing now, and I mean, yeah, like have you ever seen Her with Joaquin Phoenix? It's literally like that.
Dirty boy.
Yeah.
That's a great film.
That's going to be huge. I think. Like, and I think people are underestimating how much of an impact that's going to have, like, for like single men in like countries where
it will.
You know, in Asia, for example. Like, I think that's going to be.
Effort's Google as we speak.
Absolutely.
I'll be right back, guys.
Yeah. You know, or like elderly people who maybe their partner died and they're in their 80s, you know, they have like, they can talk and it's as if they're talking to a person. It's going to be massive.
And I mean, I know in the hospital setting, we use AI for an awful lot of stuff. So, you know, I do think it has its uses and its benefits. I just think I don't want it near my comic books, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
And I think, you know, that's that S shield just worries us. It worries us. Just jumping to the comments, guys, before we move on. Fuzzy, if it speeds me up getting a hoverboard, I'm all for it. Fuzzy's desperate for this hoverboard. Desperate. Ian, I hate AI. I hate AI. Does no one remember the killer robots from the future? And Andy, even Andy, I couldn't do my job without AI and automation. Yeah, like I say, I think in industry and in some particular workplaces, it's got a lot of use. I just worry about it in artwork.
Has Francisco Martinez said anything about this at all? Nothing.
No, he's not commenting. Not comment. Like I say, it's an allegation. It's not been confirmed or proven yet. So it could be that he turns around and says, "Ta-da! Here's my workings out." But not sure. Not sure. Speaking of Superman, and I know Superman's not a favourite of lots of people, so I'm just going to briefly touch on this. Just to say, I'm currently knee deep in the current series of Superman and Lois. I don't know if you guys watch this. This show blows my socks off. It's got brilliant special effects, but also absolutely great action scenes. But it's the heart of the show. So the first season very much surrounded itself with teen depression, suicide, all that kind of stuff. It was incredibly hard hitting for what should be a popcorn kind of TV show. This season, as a cancer nurse myself, they have handled a diagnosis of cancer within the Superman family absolutely perfectly. I mean, they're going through the stages of grief, they're going through everything, and it's breathtaking actually in terms of how much emotion you're getting in what should be, like I say, a big tough man hitting robots and things like that. I'm loving it. Efren, you fan of this?
Oh, I loved it. I've been watching it since the beginning, and the special effects, it's cinematic. I mean, wow, you can see when they really put a lot of money into special effects. I was like, damn, this is pretty good. You know, I really have enjoyed this series, you know, and I don't know when the last season's coming out, but yeah, this is a really good series. I highly recommend it.
And I mean, they gave that guy, I can't remember his name, Tyler, I think, or something, the guy who plays Superman, a bit of grief at the start when he appeared in Supergirl. But for me, he's pretty spot on. He's a very cool addition to Superman. Luke, James, either of you guys seen this or interested? I know you're not massive Superman fans.
So
I haven't. I've heard very good things, and I the CW thing turns me off, but I have seen clips of this, and it looks very high polished and high quality, like in terms of the camera work and stuff. So tempted.
Luke?
So I like everything Superman that I've ever watched. I've really enjoyed. Same for anything that I've read. I've really enjoyed. But I just find it such a difficult character to just get into. You know, that initial starting point. Once I'm a few episodes or a few issues in, I love it. As for new shows, you know, it's not new shows. I don't know how long this has been out for, but I always like to make sure that they get a few seasons under their belt before I invest any time, because I hate watching a show where it gets cancelled like halfway through season 2, and I've invested that time and waited for season 2, and then it's just been cancelled immediately afterwards. So knowing what I know about this and knowing that I do enjoy Superman shows, I will definitely be checking it out at some point.
So this has got 4 seasons, and it'll end at the end of the 4th season. But each season has a kind of a proper arc, start, finish, and end. Yeah, it's a and this probably, I hear what you're saying about some people struggle with the Superman character because he's almost a god. You know, this is the most human version of Superman I think you'll ever see. He's just,
well, I'm still a big. I know I don't think it holds up nowadays, but I'm still a massive fan, at least nostalgia-wise, for Smallville. Like, to me, I just loved that show. And then obviously the Dean Cain Superman with Terry Hatcher and stuff like that. I enjoy all of that stuff, and I love the old movies and everything.
Is he an asshole now, Dean Cain? I've seen some like screenshots of tweets, and I'm not sure if they're real or not. But if they're real, I'm like, oh no,
It's probably AI, James. Probably AI.
that's it, probably. Yeah.
deep fake Dean Cain. Yeah. Fuzzy's on season 2. It's a fun watch, much better than he imagined. Yeah, I think that's fair, Fuzzy. Super show, shame it's ending. Yep, agreed. It's better than any CW I've seen, I think. Yeah, and I would absolutely agree with that, bud. It's on iPlayer, Luke. It's well worth a watch. Deadman, CW shows start out okay, but after a few seasons they just go flat. Again, I'd absolutely agree with that, Deadman.
So that's exactly the point. So, you know, where someone else said, oh, it's a great show, sad it's ending. I like when a show has an ending. I like when they say next season's our last season, and then you know where you're heading.
You know it's ending.
So
for
many
me, that's
ones
perfect.
just went on way too long. Supernatural season 5 had a perfect ending. Should have left it there. You know.
Just a bit of confirmation for you, James. Massive dick. So yeah.
Yeah.
You
Okay,
might be
that's a
right.
shame. Yeah, because
right.
I've seen some like taking jabs at like trans people and stuff like that. I'm just like, oh, what's
Dear me.
Yeah.
Dear me. So the other show on there I just wanted to mention is My Pal Superman. This is an animated series. I've seen season 1. This is a real different take on Superman. It's getting a new season 3 I think we're up to now. It's a fun cartoon. Again, I'm enjoying watching that. I haven't seen season 2, like I say, but it's a bit of a new take on it. So yeah, worth checking that one out as well if you haven't seen it already. Now, Efren, I know you don't like spoilers. Have you seen the latest Deadpool type spoilers?
I don't believe so. But
of a
if you want to talk about it, I'm okay with it. You know, it's okay.
Oh yes. Yeah.
So we've got
Okay.
this. We've got an image of some legs, and we've got an image, not of this Juggernaut, I have to say. In the background of the trailer was a definite looking Juggernaut character. What I would say is it didn't look like the Juggernaut from the Deadpool movies. It very much looked like the, what do you call him? The footballer? Vinnie
Vinny
Jones.
Jones. They asked him to do it, and he said he said no. So I think maybe they'll just not show his face or
Not show his
CG him
face or
so far
something.
away or something like that. Yeah.
Everybody's jumped on this and said, oh yeah, it's Lady Deadpool, when new show's coming, is it going to be Taylor Swift and all that kind of stuff? But I saw some interesting stuff saying that's also the colour scheme for somebody else that we know is heavily hinted to be in the movie, which is Jennifer Garner as Elektra. That would be interesting, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point. Actually, I didn't even think of that. I don't know. I feel like her costume in this is going to be like super comic book accurate. It's more like fabricy than leather. Do you know what I mean?
You see, I'm not sure because she's in the meanest and the nicest possible way, but she's an older lady now. She's moved, so perhaps it'll not be the skimpy kind of Elektra.
Yeah, but her outfit in the Daredevil movie is a skimpy like leather.
Well, that's what I
fucking
mean.
thing,
I'm
so-
wondering if they're going to give her a bit more of an MCU leathery superhero type costume that covers perhaps a bit more. I don't know.
It's possible, but I would be fair. I'd put my money that this is Lady Deadpool, and there's some, yeah, Taylor Swift is one that the people, well, also like I've seen pictures of people putting certain actors and lining it up so their like legs match it perfectly. Taylor Swift is a rumor. I think they've said that it's not. I mean, they could be lying, but you know, I think it's probably Blake Lively. I think that would be really fun that they get his wife to do it. I think that'd be good. I'd be game for that. So I hope it's her.
I mean, I have to say, I'm not familiar with the Lady Deadpool character, so I don't really care, if you know what I mean. But it's interesting. I mean, Efren, you excited for this movie?
I'm excited for it, but I just hope they don't overdo it with all these cameos.
Yeah.
You know, I think too much is too much. You know, I'm not sure how they're going to do it, but I don't want them to just throw everybody out there. You know, I think it'd be just too overwhelming. Hopefully it's a good plot. You know, I want to see Deadpool and Wolverine fight and just, you know, see what happens, you know.
But to be Efren, though, to be fair, have you had an issue with any MCU project up to this point having too many cameos?
There haven't been that many cameos. I mean,
yeah.
You know,
so what
I'm
makes you
just
say
not
then,
overwhelmed
this might have
throwing
too
them
many?
out there, you know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have an issue with that, to be honest with you.
I think you're right. I don't want it to just be a tick the box, oh look, here's such and such, oh look, here's such and such. They have to play a part in the plot for me, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Luke,
okay, that's fair. Yeah.
You excited for this, Luke?
I don't want to be a buzzkill.
That's not you.
I'm not excited. I feel like I know why everyone else is, and I get it. Deadpool's just never really been a character that I've cared about overall. Like, I've enjoyed the last two movies. Like, I really have. But again, I never went to the cinema to see those. I just watched them when they came on streaming, and I just enjoyed them for what they were. I think it's going to be fun, whatever it is. I think it's going to be funny. I think the action's going to be great and everything else. I'm not going to go rushing out day one to go see this. Like, and I know everyone else is, and I know that when we do this chat, I'm going to have everything spoiled for me and everything else. But I genuinely don't care that much. You know, I was more excited to go out and see some of the other MCU movies before they all went downhill than I am for seeing a Deadpool film. So sorry, guys. Should I leave?
Everybody's entitled to their view. I will be there. I'm hoping day one to see this because I don't
get me wrong. Like, you guys.
Do you know what I mean?
You guys might come onto the chat and say, like, oh, it was the best thing ever. Go and see it. Please go see it. And then I will go and see it, like, because I trust your judgment. But for me, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not anything special.
I think for me, it's a film that I want to see as soon as possible because I don't want that same experience.
I'm going the 8 a.m. first day showing before anything gets leaked from me. You know,
because I was pretty cheesed off with Multiverse of Madness. That, I mean, I think it was 2 or 3 days beforehand. You got the entire scene of the Illuminati, and I was like, come on, and not even hidden. Do you know? I don't mind if people put a video thumbnail up and it says spoilers and blank it out, but literally to have the image there. You know, you just think, come on, man.
I was lucky to avoid. I just did a media blackout as soon as I heard that was floating around. So I'll have to do that.
I think it's different if it's been in the trailer and stuff like that. That's fair enough because most of us watch the trailers.
Yeah, it's the marketing.
Yeah. Just wanted to mention these quickly. I came downstairs last night and my son was halfway through this Netflix film, Ultraman Rising, and I sat and watched the end with him. I know nothing about Ultraman. Never watched anything really of theirs. But this was a really enjoyable cartoon. Great animation, great special effects. Well worth checking out if you're into your Japanese sci-fi type stuff. It was just a bit of a fun show. So I would recommend you having a little look-see at that. Efren, Discovery. You popped this on. Tell me about this.
This is the final season. I really, I mean, anything Star Trek, I mean, I really enjoy. I'm not sure if there's going to be any more TV shows that I've heard coming down, you know, after this show. I'm sure there probably going to be something. But this is the final season, season 5. It says in the 32nd century, Captain Michael Burner and the crew investigate an 800-year-old Romulan science vessel. And in the vessel, there's this journal that from 24th century scientists who search for the technology that the progenitors use to seed the galaxy with life. Mm-hmm. So it must be, it's like a journal, something that has like the beginning of their life, you know, how it all started. And if it gets into the wrong hands, so they're after that journal. And it's been entertaining so far. I think it's ended. The season has ended already. I just haven't caught up with it. You know, I'm about 3 episodes away from the ending.
So I'm a big Star Trek fan, as you know, but I've not watched any Discovery. So
I really enjoyed it.
Well, a bit like Luke was saying, now I know that the season's done, I'll probably go back and binge this at some point.
So
Maybe
this
watch
is on my watch later list.
Yeah.
Like this is on my watch list. Because the lead actress was actually from The Walking Dead.
Yes.
And I remember when she left The Walking Dead, they said she was going on to do Star Trek. And I know I don't talk about it a lot, but I do like Star Trek. I'm not as big a fan as you guys, but I used to sit and watch it with my dad, and I've always enjoyed Star Trek along the way. So it's on my watch later list, and it was again one that I'll check out.
I mean, spoiler, like in season 3, I believe, they jump from their current, where they're at now in the present, they jump like 900 years into the future, and they talk about what's happening, with the Federation there. It's not good, but it's a good series. I really have enjoyed it.
Yeah, I'm going to check that out. It sounds like something I'll get into. Fuzzy's just saying here there's a new Ultraman versus Avengers comic coming out. Yeah, spotted that one in, I think it's August. That one's coming out. Looks really interesting, Fuzzy. Looks really interesting. Quite keen on picking that up. Like I say, I know nothing about Ultraman, so yeah, I'm quite looking forward to that. Geez, Peter, like an anime. Yeah, wouldn't go that far. I really enjoyed the first 3 seasons. Need to catch up, but Dan's saying. And Strange New Worlds is still going. Yeah, I haven't seen that.
Dang it, I forgot about that one.
Yeah,
Never mind.
And Discovery's brilliant. Good stuff. Speaking of brilliant stuff, I know I talk about this every time, but I just want to mention Inside Number 9 has finished. It's wrapped up its last episode of its last season. Me and Luke were talking about this. Such a shame that they did 6 episodes in this season. Should have done 9. I think it would have been poetic to end on episode 9. Have you seen the last episode, Luke?
I haven't. So much like when we last discussed this show, this is one that I've just dive in and out of every now and then. If I've got like a spare half hour to an hour, I'll put an episode on. I'm still maybe 2 seasons behind. Like I'm getting there fast, especially now that I know it's finished. I really want to see how they went out, how they ended it. I do love that every episode is just standalone and just I've really enjoyed this show.
Tremendous series. Recommend people check it out. The last episode you can't watch without having watched the other seasons, I don't think, because it's a very much a third wall breaking kind of episode, with lots of guest stars from past episodes and things. It's well worth watching. And they're doing a live show in London, start of January, I think it starts. So hopefully going to get tickets to see that, because I think that would be cool. Amazing. So yeah, well worth checking out. We mentioned Blade earlier. And the just daily bollocks that seems to be going on in that production, that it seems to lose directors left, right and centre. Now this has been slightly hinted at. Apparently Jordan Peele has had conversations with Marvel about directing a Marvel property. Now he's not been necessarily linked to Blade, but he's clearly said he's been in talks with him about something. This would be amazing. I could see him doing Blade.
This to me sounds like a better fit, but I believe he was in talks for X-Men.
Yeah,
that's what the word is, and they did like his X-Men pitch.
But
like he's as a director, his movies are very ingrained in Black culture, so I think Blade is a perfect fit for him. I don't know, like action wise, I don't know if like there's some really great. He's done horror, so the horror elements would be on point. But I can't really think of within Us or Get Out or Nope like action sequences, like anything that's like, oh, this would translate to this,
No, I don't know. I think what do you think, Ephraim? What do you think about the whole Blade debacle? Do you think we're going to get a Blade movie?
I don't know, but do you guys know when a director leaves is because he's getting too much pressure, like from a producer or from Disney overall, saying they don't like the way he's going, or
I think it's just conflicts of timing, because like if they haven't even got the script sorted out, so how can a director dedicate that time? Like everyone must just be on retainer, right?
Yeah, they want to just do something else.
They want to do something.
That's a good point. So there's no script yet, from what you're saying, Luke, or?
To my knowledge, they were still working on a script, and they've been sorting out directors. And I don't even think what's his name, Mahershala Ali. I don't even think he'll stick around much longer. Like, he's got other things that he wants to do. Like, why would he put his career on hold?
We were talking about this on One Good Scare last week, but that like I'd give it 6 months and he'll walk if they're not like ready to go at that point. Because he's mid-50s, you know. Like,
I still think we will.
Blade's an ageless character. You need to get this movie quick, you know.
So I still think that we'll get a Blade movie. I just don't think it will be with any of the stuff that we've heard about for the last 5 years. It won't be the same director, same script, same actor. All of that will go out the window. We will still get a Blade movie down the line. But if we do, I don't want it tied to the MCU. I just want to see like a dark, gritty underworld, and I don't care about it being attached.
I don't want it attached to Avengers. I just want monsters. I want
I want it attached to because I like the Midnight Sun stuff. I want to come about, so I want like
that's
a
not that's not Avengers. That's
no, it's
do you know
MCU.
what I mean?
Like Luke means completely standalone, like as if it's not even connected to them.
No.
I always
the MonsterVerse. I would class it as.
I always
of course,
hoped with the Netflix shows that they would drop hints because like it was always like down and gritty in the hospital with Daredevil and everything else. I just wanted to see like people being wheeled past with like neck trauma, and just have that as a subtle hint that there was more to it, but it never happened.
We didn't know at the time that we were going to get vampires at all. You know, that was a big deal. That like they're confirmed. But I mean, just to even think who else.
Just before you say it, Fuzzy's right here. He signed on in 2019.
Yeah,
I mean it's
5 years waiting. You know, when he came out with that cap with the blue with the logo on it, like you know,
he's such a good actor too. I think they're just blowing it. You know, they have an opportunity for him to be in a Marvel movie, and they're blowing it.
But wasn't this why Elizabeth Olsen got fed up as well? Because she didn't want to be tied to the MCU. She wanted to go off and do other projects. And it's it's that whole time thing, and it's their careers. They don't want to sit around waiting.
I mean, he's an Oscar winner. Like he's got shit to do. You know.
Yeah.
Jurassic Park.
Who would you cast in it then? Like who else would play Blade now at this stage?
Do you know what? It's going to sound really rude to say, but I don't
care.
No,
I think an unknown.
Wesley Snipes was pretty unknown to me, other than being a good fighter, martial artist. I'd seen some of his films. Don't get us wrong.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I want from Blade. I don't want to go for a face or a name. I want someone who can look friggin' amazing when they're fighting vampires and looks like they can, hold their own. Fuzzy's suggesting Pedro.
Thanks, yeah.
Did you guys?
I knew you were gonna come in with that. Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch the TV series with Sticky Fingers and House of Chthon and all that lot? I thought that was absolutely superb, and the fact they only got one season and ended on such a cliffhanger, I feel was a real injustice. Now, I will admit it took the first 2-3 episodes for me to get used to it not being Wesley Snipes.
Yeah.
But again, same premise. Get someone new in there, and I think it will work.
Yeah.
Wasn't one like a Moon Knight alter ego or someone like that was in it as a supporting character, and they never got to be like the hero character, but they were. I can't remember who it was.
It's years since I've seen it. Yes. Efren?
I was going to say that actor in the Black Panther. What was his name? His antagonist in Black Panther 1 in Baku. I forgot the actor's name. But I think he'd be. They should put him into consideration if the other
Michael B. Jordan.
No, not Michael B. Jordan.
At the start, Sterling K. Brown.
He's big, isn't he?
He was the guy that was in that other tribe and fought him.
Oh, Winston Duke.
Yeah,
too muscular. I think he's too. Yeah. He's a mountain of a man, I think Blade should be a bit.
That's true.
Maybe slender. I guess.
I'm just thinking of other actors, who could take his place, that I know.
Okay, Efren, I'm going to keep you on the spotlight. Bad Batch, the final season.
I have really enjoyed this series. I don't think Disney Plus had given it enough, props to, push it like other Disney Plus shows. This is Bad Batch season 3. They first premiered in Star Wars Clone Wars, and there was a spinoff of them. Basically, season 1, they found out there was a female clone. Her name was Omega. And in season 1, they rescued her. And ever since then, they've been trying to keep her away from the Empire and the particular city. I think it was called Tantis, I believe. But she had, in season 3, they realized that her blood, special,
no spoilers now, Efren, because I've not watched this yet. So.
Okay. There's this thing called Project Necromancer.
That was in season 2. I think they revealed that.
Season 2, they mentioned Project Necromancer, and she has a major part of it. Her blood has something to do with them, bringing back dead entities. And I really enjoyed this season 3. It just ended, and it was a shame that it was the last season.
Is it satisfying?
It ended very nicely too. They
Yeah.
show Omega grown up and what she's going to do and her next step.
Okay.
So it was good. Sorry, James.
No, you're fine. I really liked the Batman. I binged the first 2 seasons.
Yeah, it's good.
Last time I had a Star Wars buzz. I'm not in one yet, but Outlaws is coming out. I'm now started the Acolytes. I'm sure, like, once I'm in a Star Wars mood, I'll catch up on that.
Fuzzy's saying he's never watched a single episode of this. Neither have I, mate.
It is. I think it's too. Like, when it's good. It's so good.
Yes.
The characters are so much good, and I think there's some really amazing story beats in it. It is just, there are filler episodes. Like, there's a lot of guff, but like when it's great, it's amazing. Like, honestly, the characters are so.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, gonna stay away from spoilers again, but we've got The Boys back on the screens. We've got 3 episodes in. Have any of you watched it yet?
Dang,
just
3
watched the
episodes
first one.
already? Jeez.
They dropped the first 3 at once, I think.
Yeah, it was
I've watched.
all at the same time.
I've watched the first one.
Okay. So broad strokes, interesting. It's still the same kind of Boys violence and humor in it and things like that. I'm loving these 2 new female characters. They are very, very strong in it. It's really heavily leaning in on the American politics side of things. When you watch it, Efren, it's very clear that the lampoon and the Trump case and things like that. But 3 episodes in, and I'm not getting the same vibe as I got in the last season, I have to say. And I don't know why. I've watched it, I've enjoyed it, but it hasn't blown us away yet.
I haven't seen it, but I just seen a quick, like on Instagram or something. They were saying it was like the worst season. People were saying it's not good at all, So.
But now, not amazing doesn't necessarily mean bad. I think I've seen mostly this hover around a 7 out of 10, which is low for this show, because I think like it's been stellar pretty much up to this point. But I watched the first one, and I'm like, yeah, this is great. Like, it's just Homelander being a lunatic, some really interesting characters with interesting power. I really like the kind of political element, because this all kind of revolves around like a presidential campaign, and like, the kind of in between of Congress certifying it and stuff. I found that really interesting. The girl on the left here, is that the podcaster one?
Yeah.
So she's like an Alex Jones kind of character, which I think is fun. And yeah, there's a lot of like, Fox News and kind of fake news and stuff like that. And I just find it really, to inject superheroes into that, I just think is really fascinating. So yeah, I'm enjoying it. So at the first episode, I'm not disappointed in any way.
And don't get us wrong, I am enjoying it. I'm just not being blown away by it. And I think, Fuzzy's just commenting, that might be because I absolutely loved Gen V. I thought Gen V was
that was really good.
What I would say, mind, and I'm not going to spoil it because, obviously people are going to catch up with it. Black Noir has got some of the best lines in this.
I got one scene with him that was great.
Well, he gets a scene in pretty much all 3 episodes. It's just hilarious. Absolutely.
There was also a very graphic photograph shown in it that I was not expecting. That was like a great kind of sting to one of the to the episode that I was like,
and
wow,
again,
they went there.
Anthony Starr's Homelander is
exceptional,
amazing.
Like, really.
It's interesting. Luke, are you up to speed with The Boys, or are you watching it? Or?
Yeah, no, I'm fully up to speed other than these 3 episodes. So I've not to go off topic, I've just caught up with What We Do in the Shadows and got to that final for season 5 for that. And so now I'm jumping on The Boys probably after this show, to be honest. The thing about The Boys, much like The Walking Dead, this is going to be a universe that they're going to continue to make things for. I'm not necessarily going to say they're going to milk it. I think it's still going to be good stuff. Like you say, we've got Gen V and everything else, and there'll be other spin-off shows. But I do feel like that this confrontation between Homelander and Billy Butcher needs to come to a close.
It is. So this is ending at season 5. So they've announced that the next season, not this season, but the season after, is the last of The Boys. Echo. So this next season will be the last season, which I think is right. And I think if they play out some of the stuff that you discover in this start of this season, then that kind of feels natural, to be honest. Well worth checking out. It is still a fun series. And what we'll do, guys, is once this has concluded, this run, we'll do a show specifically about the boys.
Well, last season, there was sort of like a mid-season break or something like that, wasn't there? There was a few. Is this the same now? Because I don't want to have to wait. I'd rather just watch it week to week until it's over. Like,
Not sure,
one
mate.
thing that I will say, and I think we've mentioned this before, not really a fan of the comics of this. You know, I like the show a lot more than I do the comics.
I think the show's better than the comic, but I still like the comic. They've deviated massively from the comic, but
Improved,
yeah,
I
like
would
the
say.
comic. Yeah. Just want to mention this. This is a book that I think Fuzzy got us to pick up and have a read of. This is The Mammoth by Mad Cave Comics. Really intriguing first issue of basically invisible things and ghosts and stuff in the woods wandering around. In this is the first page, pretty much. You see this lady being knocked over and she's suddenly pinned to the ground and you can't see what it is. And then her head pops. So she's been stood on or something by something. Really enjoyed this. It was intriguing. Felt a bit X-Files-y for me. So yeah, I'm looking forward to continuing this one. Fuzzy saying he loved it as well. So would recommend this one. James, I know you're a horror fan. This could have the makings of a really interesting horror book.
I love that cover.
Yeah, I'll say that. That's
That
cool.
cover looks amazing.
Yeah. And it's intriguing as well, trying to work out what's going on, you know. So yeah, I'm enjoying this one. I'm going to touch on this because I know people will flee the room as soon as I talk about Doctor Who. Started off interesting this season. There is no denying there's an awful lot of equality and diversity stuff woven into the stories, but thoroughly enjoying it. This season's just getting better and better and better. These two, as the Doctor and the companion, are superb together. They've got amazing chemistry, which is a bit sad when you know, because we know now it's been in the press that this is her only season. She's disappearing after this.
was there a reason given for that?
I don't know if that's always been the plan, because the way the story's panning out, it kind of feels like she might be coming to an end in the story. But I honestly don't know. Last couple of episodes of this have been superb. He is, and I apologise because I can't remember his name, but he is amazing about as the Doctor. My only criticism, if I was being a miserable old git, my only criticism of this version of the Doctor is it doesn't seem very good. And what I mean by that is each episode he seems to struggle, or he's running away, or there's not a lot of, you know how we used to get the Doctor kind of solving everything kind of thing. There's not a lot of that, but I guess that works for the context of the story because he's like a new Doctor, I guess. Special effects are great. I'm just loving it. I'm loving it. It's very cool. Louis saying, ignore the hate. This man is the Doctor. Man is bloody amazing actor. He is. He's superb. And GP saying, cracking episode. Yeah. Do you know what? I know we've talked about this before, guys. Doctor Who is at its best for me when it's moving away from the silliness, space babies, fuzzy space babies, of the first episode, and getting more into the horror. The last episode, there was genuinely spine-chilling bits on this with a creature, and I'll not spoil it, but very cool, very cool. Last episode next week, and then I will be doing a live show or a recording talking Doctor Who in general with Rich from Reviews with Rich. So looking forward to that. And anybody that likes Doctor Who's welcome to join me if they want to drop us a line. Efren, what's this? What are you watching?
I'm really into documentaries, you know, and I just really love World War II. I've told you guys in the past, and these are two ones that I just caught eye of recently. First, the one of the Beach Boys was on Disney Plus, and it just delves into their history from the very beginning. I had no idea they were there from the early 1960s. I thought they came like in the 1970s, you know, but they've been around since the 1960s, and it just tells their progression of, you know, the band, you know, throughout the years. And Brian Wilson, you know, he was like he really didn't like to tour at all, even at a younger age. So he was basically in the behind the scenes while they went to go tour. And Glenn Campbell was a Beach Boy for a while. I didn't know that at all. And they mentioned, you know, Brian Wilson and his brothers, his father was the manager of the Beach Boys, and he was a very controlling person, and they basically had to fire him because he was just overwhelming, you know. And his dad, unbeknownst to them, sold the rights to the Beach Boys like for $700,000, and that's it, you know. And they said, you know, this man was just thinking of himself. and he just, his children and his grandchildren, he left them saying, screw you guys, I'm taking the money while I can. It's just a very interesting story of them, leading and through the 60s. It was the drug age, they were taking LSD and the trips and stuff like that.
I'll have to check this out. I have to say, the Beach Boys is something I know practically nothing about.
Yeah.
It's not a group I'm really.
A section of this documentary has their, friendly battle with the Beatles. They were always trying to up each other. It was very good. And the one on the right, I believe it was on Netflix. I had no idea. I knew about the Rolling Stones, but this is Brian Jones. He was the one who started the Rolling Stones, and it talks about his meteoric rise, as a Rolling Stone, but then they turned against him because of his drug abuse and his paranoia, and it just talks about him basically and what happened to him. He died at a very young age, about 26, 27 years old. Like 2 weeks after they dropped him from the Rolling Stones, he drowned, because of his drug use, basically. He just talks about his rise, both very interesting. I highly recommend them.
I don't watch a lot of music documentaries. What about the rest of you guys? Do you watch those?
I have seen some. The Bob Marley one, very good.
That was at the cinema recently, wasn't it? Was that?
But that was a biopic, but there was a documentary 10 years ago or something like that. I remember seeing it in the cinemas and I thought it was really good.
Yeah, they said still one of the greatest albums ever made. Yep.
How about you, Luke? Are you a music listener or documentary watcher of that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I love music and I love documentaries. I always search over like Netflix and Disney Plus and stuff and find various things to watch. It's one of those things where if it comes up, if it's recommended to me, then I'll put it on. But I don't go hunting for it.
Really quick, there's this other documentary on Disney Plus called The Boys, and it talks about the songwriting team from the 1960s, the two brothers. How they became. It's very interesting too. I highly recommend it. And it's called The Boys, the two brothers, the Sherman brothers, it talks about how they made all these hits throughout the years for Disneyland, and I was like, wow, I didn't know they were so prevalent, really good.
Cool. Very cool. We'll check those out. Okay. And James, I'm looking to you to help us again with the name.
Giancarlo Esposito.
That's what I was going to say.
Yes.
Is obviously now appearing in the next Captain America movie as a villain. We've got some on-site images of him there, but the rumblings are that he's a character that's completely unique to the MCU, so they've not aligned him to any Disney villain yet.
There was
Marvel villain, I mean.
one comic character. Who's Moon Knight's main bad guy?
The one with this, he's got a skull face, isn't he?
People thought he was going to be in the show, and he wasn't.
Yeah. Can't remember his name. I know
anyway, it's the people are saying it might be him. It's possible, but
the costume doesn't. I like the idea. I think of him being totally separate. He's a stunning actor. So, what do you think about him joining the MCU?
I was hoping he'd be a Professor X or a Magneto. I think he would have really suited that. So it's if he's just a throwaway villain in this, I think that's sort of a waste of him.
I don't think he is. I think this is a bit part in this film to set him up for something in the future. He has said, I'm sure I read something saying that he'd said that this was paving the way for his own Disney Plus series. So
right,
a Disney Plus series, which would be interesting. But I don't recognise that costume design at all, so I do think it's a separate character. Luke, what do you think?
So one of two things: either he's going to be something completely original, in which case it's going to spiral into its own thing and become its own comic character and all the rest of it, but it would have started here with Disney Plus or with this movie, or it's going to be one of those big twist reveals. You're going to see him in a few things, and then it's going to be revealed that he is a very well-known character and this, that, and the other. So again, who knows? I mean, like you say, fantastic actor. The guy's literally in everything.
Yeah, superb.
Everything that we all enjoy watching, he's in it. So, we'll wait and see. I'm excited.
Efren?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I love him as an actor. Don't get me wrong, but just see which character he's going to be portraying, and hopefully it'll be leading to more and better things for him too. He's a great actor.
Yeah. So excited to see what comes next. Sadly, hearing really negative stuff about Captain America. It's been through a number of reshoots, hasn't it? And it didn't do well at test audience, and I think
Echo turned out fine. Well. So I'm not.
Yeah,
Not
we'll
worried.
see. We'll see.
I'm worried.
Bushman.
Yeah, I'm worried. We're already
I'm worried.
Bushman.
Bushmaster.
That's what the word
Bushmaster.
is. He's but this is oh
Bushmaster.
fuck's sake. This article says Bushman. Bushmaster, yes, thank you.
Bushman is a dodgy video I've seen, I'm sure. And this is Bushmaster.
I bet you did.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I'm with Efren Mines, James. I think Captain America has had consistently negative press about it for the last year and a half. I'm not convinced. We'll see. Just wanted to mention this book. I know I've gushed about this many a time. This is something epic. This last issue was phenomenal. He's the writer Simon's taken on kind of the Norse pantheon of gods. There's been a murdered god in this. We're getting introduced to this something epic version of Thor. I just loved it. Absolutely loved it. And the main character is a Detective Duck. So, you know, what more can you ask for? Really clever cover design with the kind of that's the front cover there with the hand opening the book. And when you open the book up, that image behind it there is, I think it's the first page in the book. So it's really clever and really cool. Loving this series. Well worth checking out. Fuzzy's just saying flawless has arrived today. Spot on book, mate. Spot on. But here's the thing: Bushmaster was in Luke Cage, and that's now canon in the MCU. Okay, so
Yeah, but they don't care.
I don't think it's a Moon Knight villain. I think it's something totally separate. But yeah, something epic. Spot on. Well worth reading. Oh, okay.
Go on. What's wrong with it?
Who's been watching The Acolyte?
I watched the first one.
Efren, you watched it?
Not yet. I haven't seen it, but I've been hearing, it hasn't been that good moving forward,
Okay, so no spoilers then. I'm up to speed with it. I've watched the first, I think, 3 episodes we're on. Yeah. Some stunning fighting. The first episode had an amazing battle. Again, I'm not going to spoil it, but it's some really fighting styles and uses that I've not really seen before in terms of the fighting style. And then after that, for me, it just went downhill. Now, I'm sure lots of Star Wars fans will say it's amazing and stuff like that. For me, my biggest problem isn't the story, because I'm quite invested in the story. My biggest problem is the quality of the script, and some of the acting in this is soap opera level shit. Just awful. Third episode, the third episode, I can see why a lot of people, if you're particularly into your Star Wars lore, a lot of people will be very upset with that episode.
I've heard things.
It makes drastic changes to Star Wars lore, and it makes no friggin' sense. And I think my biggest criticism of this, and this isn't a spoiler because it's kind of hinted at from the trailers and stuff like that, and this might be rightly or wrong, might have already been kind of hinted at, is that this paints the Jedis as child stealing pricks, to be perfectly honest.
That's what they are in the. Yeah, that's the point.
I don't know. So no, it's all right. I'm watching it. It's not blown us away. The fighting's canny, but other than that, it's certainly not what I'd hoped to see. James, you've seen the first episode.
Yep.
What did you think?
I heard nothing but like horrendous reception of this. So I was going in kind of, and I even had a conversation with a workmate the other day saying like, I'm done defending shit Star Wars. Like if this is bad, I'll just accept that. I watched the first episode. I was like, this is fine. I quite enjoyed it. I think, like you said, the fight sequences stellar. I think there's some really amazing set design. Like there's a lot of cool new droids and alien creatures and stuff like that. I thought that was really good. The acting, not even the acting. I don't like most of the characters. I haven't really clicked with most of them. I like the main girl. I think she's really good. I'm enjoying her. I like the guy from Squid Games. He's good, although I believe he learned English for this role, so there's times where what he's saying isn't necessarily, his delivery isn't really connecting, but I think he suits like the kind of old wise Jedi kind of character. I like him in that role. So I don't really have much bad, just like if what I don't like about it, so some of the characters, if that just stays like that kind of ruins the show in a way. But like I don't think it's that bad, like bad at all, really. But I could see it going that way. Do you know, do you know what I mean? Like I feel like I heard that there was a thing in episode 3 that like someone texted me in the middle of the night to tell me how bad something was, and I don't know what it is yet, but I'm like, okay, so we'll see.
It's really interesting. So my biggest gripe with it is the acting. The acting is just awful. The dialogue delivery is awful. It makes no sense at points. Episode 2 is just farcical in terms of, I'm not going to spoil it, but there's like a stakeout kind of thing, which is just friggin' awful. Yeah. And then episode 3 comes along. And I can't go into it without spoiling it, but as Fuzzy says, Fuzzy thought it was horrendous. She-Hulk looks like Citizen Kane. I mean, there's some very interesting choices being made with this in terms of that episode. I'm not a steadfast Star Wars nerd, but I can absolutely see why people will be pissed off with what it does to the lore and things.
Do you know, like I was when they announced this was the one I was most excited about. I was like, oh, it's going to be about like a Sith apprentice in the High Republic. It's a period we haven't seen that much of. You know, kind of almost like a fresh start. You can do kind of what you want with it. So like to hear that, oh, it's really bad. It's like such a shame. So I'm hoping I enjoy it. Like it might just be an eye roll kind of thing, but I feel like if it gets that bad at a point, I don't see it like coming back far back up in the back half. I like the mist. I think there's intrigue to it. I'm interested in the story. I'm interested in what's happening.
When does this take place?
That, you know?
100 years before,
Yes,
I think, Efren?
the High Republic era. So it's be 100 years before Phantom Menace.
So did they mention Yoda at all? Because he's around, isn't he?
I would.
not
He yeah. He is.
No, I'm saying they've not mentioned him yet.
Oh, he's not. He's not. They've not mentioned him yet. I would be stunned if he doesn't make a cameo in it.
Okay, I was wondering.
because there's scenes in the Jedi Temple and stuff. So like,
Yeah.
I'm sure he'll show up at some point.
Okay.
Fuzzy's point there, I get the feeling nobody actually wants to be there, is I think probably my big issue. So you're right, James. I watched the chap who's playing one of the Jedis from Squid Games. He did a episode of Lad Bible's Trying Food thing or whatever it is, and it was so clear that he hasn't got a good grasp of English at all.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
and that's how you say these lines. It's very, you know, but then the other actors and actresses in it are exactly the same. It's like they just don't know
It's the young cast mostly.
Yeah.
I don't buy them really. And like there's one character, the guy with the kind of curved dreadlocks. He was doing an interview and he said about how Anakin blew up the Death Star, and he repeats it multiple times, like, oh, you know, when Anakin blows the Death Star, like, and people let Anakin away, and I'm just like, man, that's such a basic thing. Like, don't give your opinion on Star Wars if you're going to make that big of a mistake. Like, you know, it wasn't just a misspeaking. I think he thought it was Anakin.
On the plus side, and you'll not have seen him yet, but the guys in the chat who've seen episode 2, it does give us hope a little bit, because there's one Jedi who's probably about 3 times the size of me. He's just a little fat round bloke. So I thought, well, if he can be a Jedi and he can do all the jumping and shit and all that kind of stuff, there's hope for me yet. Do you know what I mean?
And anyone can have the Force, can't they? So,
but I tell you, oh God, sorry, you've got to stop. The other thing is, each episode ends with a kind of a teaser for the next episode.
Yeah.
That you're meant to go.
Awful. The end of the first one, I was a bit like, did you have to end it? Like, you could have, you know, if you'd stopped 5 seconds earlier, maybe this would have been a more like, oh my God moment.
Second one does exactly the same.
It sort of rushes it. It's like a very brief, like 10 seconds scene. You know, it doesn't build it up or anything like that. So yeah, I agree with that. So there's problems with it, more than there should be, but.
Do you guys know if Dave Filoni has anything to do with these movies?
No, this is Leslie Highland? No, something like that. Anyway, she did Russian Doll. Did you ever see Russian Doll?
I've heard of it, but no.
Yeah, she's created that, so she's. I
just
like Leslie
wonder,
Headland or something. Yeah.
I just wonder why Disney. I thought he was like he took over the reins from George Lucas, so to speak, and he had his hand on everything.
I mean, this has been in the works for years, like 4 or 5 years. I remember the cast coming out and talking about having already filmed it at Star Wars Celebration last year.
Gotcha.
So
I'm going to give you in this. The Wookiee delivers his lines beautifully.
I've not met the Wookiee yet, so I'm looking forward to that.
The Wookiee with the man bun, yeah.
Okay.
Phoning it in, top and bottom, it's a car crash.
That's a bit
Luke,
harsh.
have you got any interest in seeing this?
At the risk of alienating myself again, so I've recently been introducing my children to Star Wars, and
Right.
we've started from the beginning, like as in when they were released, as opposed to chronologically storytelling. And my kids absolutely love the original trilogy. Hands down, that's been their favorite so far. But we've also watched the prequels, and we've also watched Rogue One. What I'm finding moving forward from there is that I'm making an awful lot of excuses for Star Wars over the years, and it's not as good. And it's making me realize that I have no interest in it anymore. Like, I'm going to continue watching it with my kids because they're interested and they want to see these things. But now I'm rewatching some of this stuff that I've been making excuses for, and I'm realizing that it's not for me. And so again, at the risk of, like what I was saying before about Deadpool and everything else, I don't know if I'm going to feel that way about the MCU as well moving forward. I think just Disney as a whole is losing my interest, to be honest.
It's interesting.
Yeah, I don't.
Isn't it?
It's hard. It makes me feel bad because obviously I'm a nerd at heart. I'm a geek. I love I love all of this stuff, but my heart's just not in it anymore.
It's interesting because again, I feel myself in the really uncomfortable position of kind of agreeing with you, Luke. But I'm
Thanks.
watching things because I'm a fan and I feel I've got to watch it. But I'm finding it, and I feel like I am a miserable old bugger. I'm finding it harder and harder to actually say, yeah, that was good or I enjoyed that.
The trouble is going back, you realize just how much you loved it. And then you see that decline. You see those excuses that you've made all throughout the time. And now it's just not what it should be.
For me, though, even if a Star Wars thing is horrendous, like I wouldn't call Book of Boba Fett horrendous, but it was pretty piss poor, I think. I know Peter would disagree with that, but I think every Star Wars thing contributes something to the universe, and that's the stuff that I get out of it. So there's new planets, new alien species,
Gonna be
new
interesting
things
then,
that I like
James.
to see. Do you know?
So it's going to be interesting then to see
what
how
this
we feel about
contributes.
what episode
I-
3 contributes
Is it
to the
the
universe.
space lesbians thing that people are talking? Because I've heard
Yeah,
that
it's
kind
not,
of.
it's
been
not
mentioned
just
there.
that.
Okay.
Well, I'm not going to go into it.
So I've always made an excuse for Turtles in a certain way. And if you bear with me, it is all connected. Every version of Turtles that has come over the years hasn't been my version. It hasn't been something that I like, but I appreciate that it's for the new generation. It's something that it's their entry point to that thing.
Yeah.
But the fact that my kids have no interest in the current Star Wars, but they loved the originals, only proves that there was something more magical, something more special about those. Do you know what I mean? Like they've gravitated towards the old
Yeah.
as opposed to the new stuff. And
I
there's a
think
lot of new
there's-
stuff. They watch it all, but they love that old stuff. Like they literally sit there saying, "Can we rewatch the one with Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker?" They want to see those characters. And no matter what I
think
say
it's,
about the later episodes, they're not interested.
I think it's like the heart or the soul, I guess, is sort of. I feel like Disney sucked it out a little bit, So like Ahsoka, I enjoyed, but like there's something missing there, and I feel like I kind of get the vibe with this that might be the case. This
I
will
do
be the
think
case
it-
by the end of this as well.
I do think it could be redeemed. I do think they could make something that would be amazing. Like I know a lot of people spoke about what was that one that was everyone was raving about? Andor.
Andor's
You know,
very
I,
I was
I
just
still
about to
haven't.
ask when is season 2 of that because I want.
I still haven't seen that, but I've heard great things, and so I'm not against it.
Oh, it's
and
phenomenal.
I feel
Phenomenal.
like it's the same for me with the MCU now, where I will pick and choose what I want to watch, and leave the rest behind. Whereas before, I would watch everything. Before it was like I wanted to see it all, the world building and everything else. And I think that's why I want a standalone Blade film as well, because I don't want to know everything else. I just want to be entertained with what I'm watching.
I think for me, first off, you are right, James, to point out Andor, because it's very easy to forget that we've had some good stuff like Andor, like
Mandalorian, early seasons of Mandalorian.
first series of Mandalorian,
2 seasons.
Werewolf by Night, Loki. Some of these things have been very good, but for me, I can't help but feel is it too much? Because actually, watching Star Wars, I have to be honest, I'd rather just go back to one film every couple of years, but have a really good, cracking story. Instead of this constant, because it it almost turns you off the franchise. Because I'm at the stage now, I'm thinking, oh, do I,
I feel
watch the
like
rest of this?
a thing a year is probably good. Like this year so far, we've already had 2 animated series. Now this, and then we're getting Skeleton Crew by the end of the year, and then I think that rolls right into like February when I think Andor is out. And there's like 4 other shows like Ahsoka season 2 at that point as well, and it is a lot. Yeah.
Efren, how about you? Because you're a big Star Wars guy.
I think the bottom line for Disney and any company is to make money, and sometimes they just put stuff out there so they can keep the momentum going, so to speak. Which is unfortunate. But I mean, Luke speaking about his children watching the very first Star Wars. There's something magical about that. It just brings back so much fond memories, and I don't think they're going to capture it again. I'm not saying I'm not going to watch it. Star Wars, films and TV shows. I'm always going to watch it because it's part of my DNA.
Yeah.
But I just don't think that's an era that's gone, and they're never going to catch it again. I have a quick question for Luke. Did your children know about Star Wars before you introduced it to them at all?
No.
They had nothing.
No.
Wow.
So they saw some of my action figures.
Yeah.
And they asked me who they were, and I gave them the names. Like I didn't say anything. But that's one of the things that I love, particularly with my children, is that if I want to get them to watch a film or a show, I let them hold and play with the toys. So then that way, when it comes on the screen, they get excited and happy about it, or and so that was kind of their entry point. I let them hold like a Darth Vader figure, and I didn't spoil anything. I didn't say, "Oh, that's Luke Skywalker's dad" or anything. They got to appreciate that for what it was, and it was. I wish I recorded it, because my daughter in particular, the shock on her face, like she's like, and it's just like, even I didn't have that as a child, because that spoiler was out there in the in the world, even when I saw it. So she got to appreciate that for what it was, and I just think that was so
pretty
special.
Cool. Yeah.
So here's my point, chaps. All right, here's my point, and I'm sure you'll disagree, James. I'm sure you'll disagree. I don't know many Star Wars fans who are bigger fans than what I would say James is. And Efren, you talk about Star Wars a lot. You love Star Wars, yeah? And yet this series has been out for 2 weeks now. James, you watched the first episode today. Efren, you've not watched it?
No.
I'm busy. I was on holidays when this came out. No, I see your point 100%. I've been somewhat deflated lately with stuff. There's a bit of fatigue there. I also haven't watched Bad Batch. But also I'm weird where I have to be in the mood for a certain thing. I've still not watched Loki season 2. I've not been in the Marvel mood to watch that. I've not been in the Star Wars mood, but I know Outlaws is coming out, so I'll be putting 50, 60 hours into that. That'll be in a big Star Wars buzz then. So I'll catch up on everything I'm behind on then.
But do you take my point that
absolutely?
I mean, back in the day, when Disney Plus first happened,
Mandalorian, I wouldn't miss an episode.
The day WandaVision aired, I think we're probably all there trying to
wake up early and watch it. Yeah,
it's kind of all right.
It's been like that for me. I think Ahsoka I watched on the day of release every day, but like Mandalorian season 3 I didn't. I remember I let it build up through 3-4 episodes. Same thing with Marvel, like Miss Marvel, I let the whole thing build up and binged it. So the excitement's not there anymore. And this was the one I was most excited for, so that's the sort of the shame. I think it was the early previews of like it's not good. It's like okay.
Fuzzy's right. Normally Instagram's full when a new Disney show starts. Even big Star Wars fans don't mention it. And I think it's really interesting. I'm going to be careful what I say. I've enjoyed this discussion because each of us comes from it with a slightly different angle. But what really entertains us is when you see some of the Instagram crowd who are absolutely gushing over certain shows, and they like literally say, if you don't like this show and agree with what I'm saying, you're obviously not a fan. You're not a big enough star. I think as a fan, you should have the intelligence and the nuts to say when actually something's not quite right, rather than just blindly following it.
Absolutely, but that works both ways. There are people who will just shit on it. No matter what, doesn't matter how good it is, they'll be like it's the worst thing ever.
Guys,
woke bullshit, all that crap.
Guys, believe it or not, there are some things about Lost that I don't like, but I still love the show.
We mock you about Lost. Well, I mock you about Lost. I have to say, Luke, the first few seasons I was thoroughly, and I just lost place.
I think it deserves a revisit, Peter.
Things don't need to be perfect to enjoy them.
Yeah, they
you know
don't,
what I mean?
you're right.
So yeah.
Yeah. Every Wednesday, people had X-Men on the stories. Absolutely fuzzy.
Yeah.
You know, that's a show that came out of, well, it didn't come out of nowhere, but people got behind because actually, I mean, again, being honest, every episode didn't blow me away, but the quality of the writing was there near the end. You know, midpoint on, it got better and better. So yeah.
So that's one that I did really enjoy, but much like James, I waited for them to tally up a bit before I sat and watched them, and I watched them all in one go. So I couldn't tell you what happened in each episode. I know the overall story.
No.
I had a sort of erratic watch schedule with that, where it was like, I have 2 episodes to watch now, and then I'll watch it week to week for 2 weeks, and then it was weird. But I thoroughly enjoyed the entire thing. Like,
I think the bottom line is, if it's good, we'll be there and we'll give it its props. You
I mean,
know,
I'll be there anyway because I'm a
want it to
shill.
be there.
Because I just want to see the new lasers and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But like,
Well, I think you're
when
right.
when I
I think it
when
comes
I
down to
watch it
quality.
is when I watch it is dependent on if it's good.
Okay, chaps, that's our show tonight. That's been really, really fun. Thank you so much, guys. Anything you want to add before we move on to kind of round up with what we've got coming up? Anything you want to talk about? Any shows I've missed or anything you want to mention?
Nope, I think we covered a lot. That was good.
Grand. Good stuff. So, just to point people in the direction of my channel, I've got loads going on. Obviously, different live show every Monday at night. No live show next Monday, ladies and gents, because I'm going to be down Lincoln or somewhere. I don't know. I'm going away with work. So, I'll not be in on the Monday, unfortunately. A couple of videos on the channel. Please do go check them out. Rocketeer has taken off, thankfully. So that's now got some good views, but please do go check that out. And my latest video is found a hidden comic shop, so please go and watch that. Wednesday night, I don't think we've agreed a time, Efren. We're doing, well, we'll
12 o'clock.
12
12
o'clock.
o'clock, 1 o'clock my time, so 8 or 9 your time, I guess.
Yeah, we'll sort it out and I'll get it out there. But we've got our recommended reading, which is looking at books published in August 2024. Also looking at our favourite covers, comics we'll not be reading, and also a couple of reviews. So please do check that out on Wednesday night. Over on This Is I had the pleasure of interviewing Mickey from Swagger House Comics on Saturday. Go and please check out the rewind of that. That was a good fun chat. He's a lovely guy. On the 21st, we've got Comic Tropes, Chris from Comic Tropes. 22nd, we've got Patron of Comic Arts, and 6th of July, we've got Cliff on Comics, and there's a few more lined up after that. So yeah, lots of interesting guests going to be coming on the channel soon. One Good Scare, got a whole host of content over on One Good Scare for you to check out. James, you want to point any of these in particular out?
They're all good, I think. So check them out. We had I'll Be Right Back on Wishmaster last episode, and that was great. And I don't think it got the views it deserves. So if anyone has been put it on their watch list, just go give it a little look. See, it's quite good. Peter worked hard on it, I know. So
I'll mention one. Sorry, James. American Werewolf in London was really good. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah, that was a fun one to talk about. And then we'll have I'll Be Right Back this Friday, hopefully Friday or Saturday, on A Quiet Place Part 1. So that was we just both watched it. We'll be recording that today. Just
Rewatching it, I forgot.
Yeah. And then we also have a spoiler review of The Watchers or The Watched tomorrow. That'll be out tomorrow. So
good stuff. Lots of good stuff there. So please do check that out. Look what we've got over on Hydra Collectibles at the moment. Oh, sorry, hit me, Mike.
Yeah, so I released a video yesterday. It's my first video in almost 3 months. I can't believe it's been that long. But yeah, I finally got another video put out. And this was one that I've been working on for a while. And I say working for a while, I've been looking for a record player just so I could actually show the item that I was going to be showing. But it's about bone music and video piracy. So if anyone is remotely interested in vinyl records and a bit of history, please do go out and check out that video. I also have another video about The Last Ronin, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, coming out tomorrow for Turtle Tuesday. And I'm asking the question, did it have to be that particular turtle? And I give my reasons why I think it did. So again, please do check that out tomorrow.
Excellent. Good stuff, Luke. Efren, anything coming up over on Past Point Comics?
Oh, I have no idea. You know, just whatever pops in my head, you know, I'm trying to do short still, and yeah, you know, whatever. Comic-Con, San Diego Comic-Con's coming up in about 35, 40 days. So I'll be ramping that up, doing a lot more things live on Instagram. During Comic-Con, I'll be showing around, the convention center, and whatever pops in my head, I put on YouTube, so.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm looking forward to chatting with you on Wednesday, Efren.
Yeah.
That should be fun. Okie dokie. Thank you very much, chaps. And a massive thank you to everybody in the chat. It's been lovely to see you all once again. And we'll catch you next time. Take care. Bye.